Wow, my streaming software is definitely working 100% without any concerns. That is a joke. I hope I'm audible. I hope everything's coming through fine. Good evening. Hello hugs despite work. Hello Frederick. Hello Oni. You can't posture check and hydration check me here. There's none of that. None of that on YouTube. I'm free. I'm free to shrimp and dehydrate and die and not save my work ever. Either way, okay, I'm glad it's coming through, because yeah, I was like, so you have to go through like 2 stages when you stream on YouTube. So you have to start streaming, but then you also have to go live, and that's like a separate thing. And so I hit start streaming, and everything was fine, and then I hit go live, and YouTube was like, die, drop dead. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. Can you try again? And it's like, no. No, I can't. And it's like, oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Sure. As long as I'm working. As long as it's working now. I can't believe you actually... Why are you guys redeeming stuff? No, I don't have my throw something thing open right now. Hello, Nap. And Ani, yeah, shut up. I'm not live on Twitch. Why are you redeeming the Purity Valentine on Twitch is a completely different person from me, for sure. I'm what am I here? Hold on. I can't remember what my name is. Yeah, I'm Purity VT over here. But yeah, hello. Good evening. I hope you guys are doing well. Take care of yourself. Nah, I had the last sip of my water available in my water bottle before stream. I am fine. Also, I don't wanna... Your Purity Valentine channel... Oh, that's because you have your language set to English. That's not actually... My real channel name is Purity... And then is it... Hold on... Purity... Valentine... Purity... channel. If you set your language to anything other than English, it will show you the real name of my channel. But my URL is PurityVT. I don't know how all the language things work, but I'm sticking to whatever the hell I have right now. Because I started this channel on YouTube with the intention... Not started. I edited this channel with like the intention of doing more like Japanese focused things over here. And then I didn't. I did like one, or maybe 2 Japanese learning streams over here. But it's still set up for that. But yeah, hello. I would wave, but I don't have hands, obviously. Not yet! Maybe one day. Can't wait to have hands. I want hands so bad. Either way, it's been a little while since I did a reading stream, because obviously I died, and then I was dead, and then family when on the brink of dead real. So yeah, I haven't done a reading stream for quite some time. So it's time to get back into it. I had to go actually flick through the book and like try and like read the last chapter to try and remember where I was, and I did find it, thankfully. So, without further ado, if you are busy working or studying or anything like that, please do feel free to continue. If you're going to get some rest, do feel free. You shouldn't be woken up by anything that happens during the stream, because I will not be talking loudly, and I also do not have the ability to redirect, so there are no raids from me to anyone else. So you are safe to rest. What else? Oh, speaking of studying, I actually found out a really interesting, I woke up to a comment on my reading of the Travelling Cat Chronicles, and it turns out that some people, some students are actually using my reading to study. Like, they're not, as in, not they're studying while they listen, but the actual book itself is on their curriculum. And so listening to me reading is a way that they can read the book without having to actually read the book. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe, I had no idea this book was on a curriculum. That's awesome. So anyway, I took a quick look at the curriculum of books that are currently in circulation in the UK. Gotta say, most of them suck. Most of them suck. And I'm not surprised by that, because obviously I went through the British education system too, and read a lot of really terrible books. But it's fine. I read one good book when I was in school. Free Audible. Real! You don't need Audible. I'm right here. You want me to... If you want me to read your school book for you, and you don't want to listen, you don't want to buy Audible, you don't want to buy a subscription, all you have to do is buy me the book. And I will read the book. Unless it sucks too much. Don't make me read Romeo and Juliet again, I'd literally cry. And what else? What else did... Oh, I remember I had to read something of Mice and Men, I think it was. Oh my god. Oh god, I get why we read it, but Jesus, no thank you. What else did we read? Lord of the Flies. Now that's not a bad book, but I don't know if it really has like all of the thought put into it that we were forced to analyze it for in English class, but like, I'm convinced that half of these books were just written because a writer wanted to write something about a certain subject, and just you get all these academics who are like, oh yes, in this act he is returning to his primal instincts and also referencing the year 1262 where this happened. Like, no, there's no, it's a coincidence. Shut up. Nothing to do with that. There was one book I read that I enjoyed, but I already want to read that on stream, but I don't own it because I didn't steal my school's copy. because I only ever stole one book. I stole one book from my school library, and it was my primary school library, not even my secondary school library. My secondary school libraries was a lot more strict and a lot more like regulated, and like everything, like they had even, you know, the things you get on supermarket exits, the little BP alarm things? We had that in our freaking library. Oh, sorry, what were they called? They weren't called libraries. Learning Resource Centre. Yeah, it wasn't a library, it was a learning resource centre full of books. And basically nothing else. It was a library. But I never stole anything from secondary school. But primary school, it was an accident. I don't think the book was actually called it, but I know it had a film based off it that was called The Golden Compass. I can't remember what the actual book was called. There were 3 of them. I only stole the first one. Unintentionally. It was not on purpose. What was it called? The Golden Compass is the name of the film, and it sucked, and I've seen it. Northern Lights, that's it. Yeah, I stole Northern Lights from school. I'd buy it again though. If I had more room, I'd probably buy a lot of books that I enjoyed when I was a kid. I actually got to thinking stuff like, oh, like, you know how people are like, oh, what's your favourite game? What's your favourite film? What's your favourite this? I was thinking, like, what is my favourite book? And I was really struggling. I was really struggling to think what my favourite book was, because I used to read a lot of books when I was a kid. Literally, I used to stay up all night. Before I had a computer in my room, the thing that I did until 4 a.m, 5 a.m. in the morning was read. Just read everything. Everything. I could get my grubby little mitts on. I loved it. If it was fantasy, sci-fi, or like futuristic in any way, I wanted it. I wanted to read it. And I think I would want to give it another read before I can call it my favourite. And I think... is it called Mortal Engines? It was set in London, I think, but all the cities, they weren't like static cities, they were giant moving cities on tank tracks, and they wandered the countryside, and they would devour like smaller cities and villages. It was just a really interesting premise. I don't really remember what happened in it, but I do remember really enjoying it, and then like trying to seek out the book later in life, and I think I read it again, and it's very rare for me to read the book more than once, to be honest. But I think I want to find it again so I can see if I still enjoy it the same as I used to. Anyway, I love making tangents on these streams and absolutely not doing what I'm meant to do. Let's actually begin reading. So we are on chapter 7, which is a mad tea party. So if you do need to go get some sleep, please do feel free to get some sleep. If you are busy, I do hope it goes well. I hope whatever you're doing isn't giving you too much hassle. And yeah, have a very good night. A mad tea party. There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March Hare and the Hatter were having tea at it. A dormouse was sitting between them, fast asleep, and the other 2 were resting their elbows on it and talking over its head. Very uncomfortable for the dormouse, thought Alice. Only, as it's asleep, I suppose it doesn't mind. The table was a large one, but the 3 were all crowded together at one corner of it. No room, no room, they cried out when they saw Alice coming. There's plenty of room, said Alice indignantly, and she sat down in a large armchair at one end of the table. "Have some wine," the March Hare said in an encouraging tone. Alice looked all round the table, but there was nothing on it but tea. "I don't see any wine," she remarked. "There isn't any," said the March Hare. "Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it," said Alice angrily. "It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited," said the March Hare. "I didn't know it was your table," said Alice. "It's laid for a great many more than 3. "Your hair wants cutting," said the Hatter. He had been looking at Alice for some time with great curiosity, and this was his first speech. "You shouldn't make personal remarks," Alice said with some severity. "It's very rude." The Hatter opened his eyes very wide on hearing this, but all he said was, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" "Come, we shall have some fun now," thought Alice. "I'm glad they've begun asking riddles. I believe I can guess that," she added aloud. "Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it?" said the March Hare. "Exactly so," said Alice. "Then you should say what you mean," the March Hare went on. "I do," Alice hastily replied. "At least, I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know." "Not the same thing a bit," said the Hatter. "You might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see." "You might as well say," added the March Hare, "that I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like." "You might as well say," added the Dormouse, who seemed to be talking in his sleep, "that I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe." "It is the same thing with you," said the Hatter, and here the conversation dropped, and the party sat silent for a minute, while Alice thought all over all she could remember about ravens and writing desks, which wasn't much. The Hatter was the first to break the silence. "What day of the month is it?" he said, turning to Alice. He had taken his watch out of his pocket and was looking at it uneasily, shaking it now and then, and holding it to his ear. Alice considered a little, and then said, "The 4th." "2 days wrong," sighed the Hatter. "I told you butter wouldn't suit the works," he added, looking angrily at the March Hare. "It was the best butter," the March Hare meekly replied. "Yes, but some crumbs must have got in it as well," the Hatter grumbled. "You shouldn't have put it in with the bread knife." The March Hare took the watch and looked at it gloomily. Then he dipped it into his cup of tea, and then looked at it again. But he could think of nothing better to say than his first remark. "It was the best butter, you know." Alice had been looking over his shoulder with some curiosity. "What a funny watch," she remarked. "It tells you the day of the month and doesn't tell you what o'clock it is." "Why should it?" muttered the Hatter. "Does your watch tell you what year it is?" "Of course not," Alice replied very readily, "but that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together." "Which is just the case with mine," said the Hatter. Alice felt dreadfully puzzled. The Hatter's remark seemed to have no meaning in it, and yet it was certainly English. "I don't quite understand," she said, as politely as she could. "The Dormouse is asleep again," said the Hatter, and he poured a little hot tea upon its nose. The Dormouse shook its head impatiently and said, without opening its eyes, of course, just what I was going to remark myself." "Have you guessed the riddle yet?" the Hatter said, turning to Alice again. "No, I give it up," Alice replied. "What's the answer?" "I haven't the slightest idea," said the Hatter. "Nor I," said the March Hare. Alice sighed wearily. "I think you might do something better with the time," she said, "than waste it asking riddles with no answers." "If you knew time as well as I do," said the Hatter, "you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him." I don't know what you mean, said Alice. Of course you don't, the Hatter said, tossing his head contemptuously. I dare say you never even spoke to time. Perhaps not, Alice cautiously replied. But I know I have to beat time when I learn music. Ah, that accounts for it, said the Hatter. He won't stand beating. Now, if you only kept on good terms with him, he'd do almost anything you liked with the clock. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just time to begin lessons. You'd only have to whisper a hint to time, and round goes the clock in a twinkling. 1:30, time for dinner. I only wish it was, the March Hare said to itself in a whisper. That would be grand, certainly, said Alice thoughtfully. But then, I shouldn't be hungry for it, you know. Not at first, perhaps, but you could keep it to 1:30 as long as you liked. Is that the way you manage? Alice asked. The Hatter shook his head mournfully. Not I, he replied. We quarrelled last March, just before he went mad, you know, pointing with his teaspoon at the March Hare. It was at a great concert given by the Queen of Hearts, and I had to sing, Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. You know the song, perhaps? I've heard something like it, said Alice. It goes on, you know, the Hatter continued, in this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea-tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle. Here the Dormouse shook itself and began singing in its sleep. Twinkle, 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 and went on so long that they had to pinch it to make it stop. Well, I'd hardly finished the first verse, said the Hatter, when the Queen jumped up and bawled out, He's murdering the time! Off with his head! How dreadfully savage! Exclaimed Alice. And ever since that, the Hatter went on in a mournful tone, he won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now. A bright idea came into Alice's head. Is that the reason so many tea things are put out here? She asked. Yes, that's it, said the Hatter with a sigh. It's always tea time, and we've no time to wash things between whiles. Then you keep moving round, I suppose? Said Alice. Exactly so, said the Hatter, as the things get used up. But what happens when you come to the beginning again? Alice ventured to ask. Suppose we change the subject, the March Hare interrupted, yawning. I'm getting tired of this. I vote the young lady tells us a story. I'm afraid I don't know one, said Alice, rather alarmed at the proposal. Then the Dormouse shall, they both cried. Wake up, Dormouse! And they pinched it on both sides at once. The Dormouse slowly opened his eyes. I wasn't asleep, he said in a hoarse, feeble voice. I heard every word you fellows were saying. Tell us a story, said the March Hare. Yes, please do, pleaded Alice. And be quick about it, added the Hatter, or you'll be asleep again before it's done. Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters, the Dormouse began in a great hurry, and their names were Elsie, Lacie, and Tilly, and they lived at the bottom of a well. What did they live on? Said Alice, who always took a great interest in questions of eating and drinking. They lived on treacle, said the Dormouse, after thinking a minute or two. They couldn't have done that, you know, Alice gently remarked. They'd have been ill. So they were, said the Dormouse. Very ill. Alice tried to fancy to herself what such an extraordinary way of living would be like, but it puzzled her too much, so she went on. But why did they live at the bottom of a well? Take some more tea, the March Hare said to Alice very earnestly. I've had nothing yet, Alice replied in an offended tone, so I can't take more. You mean you can't take less, said the Hatter. It's very easy to take more than nothing. Nobody asked your opinion, said Alice. "Who's making personal remarks now?" the Hatter asked triumphantly. Alice did not quite know what to say to this, so she helped herself to some tea and some bread and butter, and then turned to the Dormouse and repeated her question. Why did they live at the bottom of a well? The Dormouse again took a minute or two to think about it, and then said, "It was a treacle well." "There's no such thing," Alice was beginning very angrily, but the Hatter and the March Hare went shh, shh, and the Dormouse sulkily remarked, "If you can't be civil, you better finish the story for yourself." "No, please go on," Alice said. "I won't interrupt again. I dare say there may be one." "One indeed," said the Dormouse indignantly. However, he consented to go on. And so these three little sisters, they were learning to draw, you know. "Or did they draw?" said Alice, quite forgetting her promise. "Treacle," said the Dormouse, without considering at all this time. "I want a clean cup," interrupted the Hatter. "Let's all move one place on." He moved on as he spoke, and the Dormouse followed him. The March Hare moved into the Dormouse's place, and Alice rather unwillingly took the place of the March Hare. The Hatter was the only one who got any advantage from the change. Alice was a good deal worse off, as the March Hare had just upset the milk jug into his plate. Alice did not wish to offend the Dormouse again, so she began very cautiously. "But I don't understand. Where did they draw the treacle from?" "You can draw water out of a water well," said the Hatter. "So I should think you can draw treacle out of a treacle well, eh, stupid?" "But they were in the well," Alice said to the Dormouse, not choosing to notice this last remark. "Of course they were," said the Dormouse. "Well in." This answer so confused poor Alice that she let the Dormouse go on for quite some time without interrupting it. "They were learning to draw," the Dormouse went on, yawning and rubbing its eyes, for it was getting very sleepy. "And they drew all manner of things. Everything that begins with an M." "Why an M?" said Alice. "Why not?" said the March Hare. Alice was silent. The Dormouse had closed its eyes by this time, and was going off into a doze, but, on being pinched by the Hatter, it woke up again with a little shriek, and went on. "That begins with an M, such as mousetraps, and the moon, and memory, and muchness. You know you say things are much of muchness, but did you ever see such a thing as a drawing of a muchness?" "Really, now you ask me," said Alice, very much confused. "I don't think." "Then you shouldn't talk," said the Hatter. This piece of rudeness was more than Alice could bear. She got up in great disgust, and walked off. The Dormouse fell asleep instantly, and neither of the others took the least notice of her going, though she looked back once or twice, half hoping they would call after her. The last time she saw them, they were trying to put the Dormouse into the teapot. "At any rate, I'll never go there again," said Alice, as she picked her way through the wood. "It's the stupidest tea party I was ever at in all my life." Just as she said this, she noticed that one of the trees had a door leading right into it. "That's very curious," she thought, "but everything's curious today. I think I may as well go in at once." And in she went. Once more she found herself in the long hall, and close to the little glass table. "Now, I'll manage better this time," she said to herself, and began by taking the little golden key and unlocking the door that led to the garden. Then she set to work nibbling at the mushroom she had kept peace in her pocket, till she was about a foot high, and then she walked down the little passage, and then she found herself at last in the beautiful garden, among the bright flower beds and the cool fountains. You know, it occurred to me just as I started reading that chapter that I didn't ask if my audio settings were okay. So I hope my audio settings are okay. I did a little bit of editing before stream, so I hope that's still fine. But I was having some issues. Hopefully I'm audible over the music a decent amount, but also the music is audible to some extent. I tried to add to the playlist of music I have so that I could try and shuffle it so it's not the same order every single time I read. But sometimes the shuffle doesn't work, so I'm a little hesitant. I think it's fine though. I think it's fine. Alright, how long is the next chapter? Oh, not very long at all. I have to say, there was no mention of an unbirthday. There's a whole thing in the, I think it's the Disney Alice in Wonderland, where they wish Alice happy unbirthday, because it's not her birthday. And yet, in the actual book, there's nothing, unless it, or no, because that's the instance where they're at the table. I feel betrayed. Where is my happy unbirthday? Disgraceful. Ow, 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 pins and needles. Also, I do have to say, there is so this is actually an illustrated copy of the book. I've had this book since I was a kid. And so it's full of illustrations of all the various characters and certain scenes and the like. I gotta say, the drawing of the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, like, shoving the dormouse into the teapot is a little disturbing. I mean, I guess you can't really tell if they're trying to pull it out of the teapot or into the teapot without reading it. But, it doesn't fit. The dormouse is much bigger than the teapot. Also, you're gonna drown it. You're gonna drown the dormouse in tea? God. I don't like tea, that sounds like a terrible way to go. Although, I say I don't like tea, and I don't. But I've never tried any of those, like, fancy teas. You know how you can get, like, certain flower teas? I've only ever been around, like, you know, you just have a tea bag, like a PG Tips little circle of fabric with some tea leaves that you just drop in, like, just normal tea. I've never had any other kind of tea, so I don't know if tea actually maybe does taste good, but no tea I've ever had does. What's it actually called? What is just like the normal kind of tea called? I suppose it's got to have an actual name. Like, compared to stuff like Earl Grey and green tea and all those kind of things. Or maybe it's just all based off the brand. Maybe. But you get off-brand tea, so no. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what tea is. I'm a terrible British person. I don't even know what tea is. It's fine, because I don't wanna. Shall we read one more chapter? I think we've got enough time for one more chapter. Do let me know if I need to adjust the volume anytime, Yeah. I do hope it's fine though. I do hope that the music is audible and I'm also audible and everything is balanced well. Sorry, I'm tired. Not sleepy tired, but tired. Chapter 8. The Queen's Croquet Ground. A large rose tree stood near the entrance of the garden. The roses growing on it were white, but there were 3 gardeners at it, busily painting them red. Alice thought this a very curious thing, and she went nearer to watch them. And just as she came up to them, she heard one of them say, "Look out now, Five! Don't go splashing paint all over me like that." "I couldn't help it," said Five in a sulky tone. "Seven jogged my elbow." On which Seven looked up and said, "That's right, Five, always lay the blame on others." "You'd better not talk," said Five. "I heard the Queen say only yesterday you deserved to be beheaded." "What for?" said the one who had spoken first. "That's none of your business, too," said Seven. "Yes, it is his business," said Five, "and I'll tell him it was for bringing the cook tulip roots instead of onions." Seven flung down his brush and had just begun, "Well, of all the unjust things," when his eye chanced to fall upon Alice as she stood watching them, and he checked himself suddenly. The others looked round also, and all of them bowed low. "Would you tell me," said Alice a little timidly, "why you're painting those roses?" 5 and 7 said nothing, but looked at 2. 2 began in a low voice, "Why, the fact is, you see, miss, this here ought to have been a red rose tree, and we put a white one in by mistake, and if the Queen was to find out, we should all have our heads cut off, you know. So you see, miss, we're doing our best afore she comes to—" At this moment, 5, who had been anxiously looking across the garden, called out, "The Queen! The Queen!" and the 3 gardeners instantly threw themselves flat upon their faces. There was a sound of many footsteps, and Alice looked round, eager to see the Queen. First came 10 soldiers carrying clubs. These were all shaped like the 3 gardeners, oblong and flat, with their hands and feet at the corners. Next the 10 courtiers. These were ornamented all over with diamonds, and walked 2 and 2 as the soldiers did. After these came the royal children. There were 10 of them, and the little dears came jumping merrily along hand in couples. They were mostly all ornamented with hearts. Next came the guests, mostly kings and queens, and among them Alice recognised the White Rabbit. He was talking in a hurried, nervous manner, smiling at everything that was said, and went by without noticing her. Then followed the Knave of Hearts, carrying the king's crown on a red velvet cushion, and last of all this grand procession came the King and Queen of Hearts. Alice was rather doubtful whether she ought not to lie down on her face like the 3 gardeners, but she could not remember ever having heard of such a rule at processions. And besides, what would be the use of a procession, thought she, if people had to all lie down upon their faces so that they couldn't see it? So she stood still where she was and waited. When the procession came opposite to Alice, they all stopped and looked at her, and the Queen said severely, "Who is this?" She said it to the Knave of Hearts, who only bowed and smiled in reply. "Idiot," said the Queen, tossing her head impatiently, and turning to Alice, she went on, "What's your name, child?" "My name is Alice, so please your Majesty," said Alice very politely, but she added to herself, "Why, they're only a pack of cards after all. I needn't be afraid of them." "And who are these?" said the Queen, pointing to the 3 gardeners who were lying round the rose tree, for you see, as they were lying on their faces, and the pattern on their back was the same as the rest of the pack, and she could not tell whether they were gardeners, or soldiers, or courtiers, or 3 of her own children. "How should I know?" said Alice, surprised at her own courage. "It's no business of mine." The Queen turned crimson with fury, and, after glaring at her for a moment like a wild beast, screamed, "Off with her head! Off!" "Nonsense," said Alice, very loudly and decidedly, and the Queen was silent. The King laid his hand upon her arm, and timidly said, "Consider, my dear, she is only a child." The Queen turned angrily away from him, and said to the knave, "Turn them over." The knave did so, very carefully, with 1 foot. "Get up," said the Queen, in a shrill, loud voice, and the 3 gardeners instantly jumped up, and began bowing to the King, the Queen, the royal children, and everybody else. "Leave off that," screamed the Queen. "You make me giddy." And then, turning to the rose tree, she went on, "What have you been doing here?" "May it please your Majesty," said 2 in a very humble tone, going down on 1 knee as he spoke, "we were trying—" "I see," said the Queen, who had meanwhile been examining the roses. "Off with their heads!" And the procession moved on, 3 of the soldiers remaining behind to execute the unfortunate gardeners, who ran to Alice for protection. "You shan't be beheaded," said Alice, and she put them into a large flower pot that stood near. The 3 soldiers wandered about for a minute or 2, looking for them, and then quietly marched off after the others. "Are their heads off?" shouted the Queen. "Their heads are gone, if it please your Majesty," the soldiers shouted in reply. "That's right," shouted the Queen. "Can you play croquet?" The soldiers were silent, and looked at Alice, as if the question was evidently meant for her. "Yes," shouted Alice. "Come on, then," roared the Queen, and Alice joined the procession, wondering very much what would happen next. It's a very fine day," said a timid voice at her side. She was walking by the White Rabbit, who was peeping anxiously into her face. "Very," said Alice. "Where's the Duchess?" "Hush, hush," said the Rabbit in a low, hurried tone. He looked anxiously over his shoulder as he spoke, and then raised himself upon tiptoe, put his mouth close to her ear, and whispered, "She's under sentence for execution." "What for?" said Alice. "Did you say, 'What a pity'?" the Rabbit asked. "No, I didn't," said Alice. "I don't think it's at all a pity. I asked, 'What's for?'" "She boxed the Queen's ears," the Rabbit began. Alice gave a little scream of laughter. "Oh, hush," the Rabbit whispered in a frightened tone. "The Queen will hear you. You see, she came rather late, and the Queen said—" "Get to your places!" shouted the Queen in a voice of thunder, and people began running about in all directions, tumbling up against another. However, they got settled down in a minute or 2, and the game began. Alice thought she had never seen such a curious croquet ground in all her life. It was all ridges and furrows. The balls were live hedgehogs, the mallets live flamingos, and the soldiers had to double themselves up and to stand on their hands and feet to make the arches. The chief difficulty Alice found at first was in managing her flamingo. She succeeded in getting its body tucked away comfortably enough under her arm with its legs hanging down, but generally, just as she had got its neck nicely straightened out, and she was going to give the hedgehog a blow with its head, it would twist itself around and look up in her face, with such a puzzled expression that she could not help bursting out laughing. And when she got its head down and was going to begin again, it was very provoking to find that the hedgehog had unrolled itself and was in the act of crawling away. Besides all this, There was generally a ridge or furrow in the way wherever she wanted to send the hedgehog to, and, as the doubled-up soldiers were always getting up and walking off to other parts of the ground, Alice soon came to the conclusion that it was a very difficult game indeed. The players all played at once without waiting for turns, quarrelling all the while, and fighting for the hedgehogs, and in a very short time the Queen was in a furious passion, and went stamping about and shouting "off with his head" or "off with her head" about once a minute. Alice began to feel very uneasy. To be sure, she had not as yet had any dispute with the Queen, but she knew that it might happen any minute. And then, thought she, what would become of me? They're dreadfully fond of beheading people here. The great wonder is that there's anyone left alive. She was looking about for some way of escape, and wondering whether she could get away without being seen, when she noticed a curious appearance in the air. It puzzled her very much at first, but after watching it a minute or two, she made it out to be a grin, and she said to herself, "It's the Cheshire Cat. Now I shall have someone to talk to." "How are you getting on?" said the cat, as soon as there were enough mouth for it to speak with. Alice waited until the eyes appears, then nodded. It's no use speaking to it, she thought, till its ears have come, or at least one of them. In another minute the whole head appeared, and then Alice put down her flamingo and began an account of the game, very glad she had someone to listen to her. The cat seemed to think there was enough of it now in sight, and no more of it appeared. "I don't think they play at all fairly," Alice began in a rather complaining tone, "and they all quarrel so dreadfully one can't hear oneself speak. And they don't seem to have any rules in particular. At least, if there are, nobody attends to them, and you've no idea how confusing it is, or the things being alive. For instance, there's the arch I've got to go through, Nick's walking about the other end of the ground. And I should have croqueted the Queen's hedgehog just now, only it ran away when it saw mine coming." "How do you like the Queen?" said the cat in a low voice. "Not at all," said Alice. "She's so extremely—" Just then she noticed that the Queen was close behind her listening, so she went on, "likely to win, that it's hardly worth while finishing the game." The Queen smiled and passed on. "Who are you talking to?" said the King, coming up to Alice, who was looking at the cat's head with great curiosity. "It's a friend of mine, a Cheshire Cat," said Alice. "Allow me to introduce it." "I don't like the look of it at all," said the King. "However, it may kiss my hand if it likes." "I'd rather not," the cat remarked. "Don't be impertinent," said the King. "Don't look at me like that." He got behind Alice as he spoke. "A cat may look at a king," said Alice. "I've read that in some book, but I don't remember where." "Well, it must be removed," said the King very decidedly, and he called to the Queen, who was passing at the moment. "My dear, I wish you would have this cat removed." The Queen had only one way of settling all difficulties, great or small. "Off with his head," she said, without even looking round. "I'll fetch the executioner myself," said the King eagerly, and he hurried off. Alice thought she might as well go back and see how the game was going on, as she heard the Queen's voice in the distance, screaming with passion. She had already heard her sentence 3 of the players to be executed for having missed their turns, and she did not like the look of things at all, as the game was in such confusion that she never knew whether it was her turn or not. So she went in search of her hedgehog. The hedgehog was engaged in a fight with another hedgehog, which seemed to Alice an excellent opportunity for crocheting one of them with the other. The only difficulty that her flamingo was gone across the other side of the garden, where Alice could see it trying in a helpless sort of way to fly up into one of the trees. By the time she had caught the flamingo and brought it back, the fight was over, and both the hedgehogs were out of sight. But it doesn't matter much, thought Alice, as all the archers are gone from this side of the ground. So she tucked it under her arm, that it might not escape again, and went back for a little more conversation with her friend. When she got back to the Cheshire Cat, she was surprised to find quite a large crowd collected around it. There was a dispute going on between the executioner, the king and the queen, who were all talking at once, while the rest were quite silent and looking very uncomfortable. The moment Alice appeared, she was appealed to by all three to settle the question, and they repeated their arguments to her, though, as they all spoke at once, she found it very hard indeed to make out exactly what they said. The executioner's argument was that you couldn't cut off her head unless there was a body to cut it off from, and that he had never had to do such a thing before, and he wasn't going to begin at his time of his life. The king's argument was that anything that had a head could be beheaded, and that you weren't to talk nonsense. The queen's argument was that if something wasn't done about it in less than no time, she'd have everybody executed all round. It was this last remark that had made the whole party look so grave and anxious. Alice could think of nothing else to say but, "It belongs to the Duchess. You'd better ask her about it." "She's in prison," the Queen said to the executioner. "Fetch her here." And the executioner went off like an arrow. The cat's head began fading away the moment he was gone, and by the time he had come back with the Duchess, it had entirely disappeared, so the king and the executioner ran wildly up and down looking for it, while the rest of the party went back to the game. I feel like I'm reading complete nonsense. Like, every sentence feels completely divorced from the meaning of the last one. It's like someone wrote a story by spinning a wheel instead of like cohesively writing a story. Everything just seems so random. It's very bizarre. I'm not sure. I don't know how much I enjoy this. But it is a classic. But yeah, I don't know who at Disney was like, "Oh, Alice in Wonderland, that definitely is a perfect book to turn into a film." Does the film make more sense? I haven't seen the film since I was a kid, but surely it's gonna make more sense than whatever on earth is going on in this book. Either way, yeah, there we go. I'm confused. But we're getting through it. I don't know what I'm gonna read next, but I wanna figure out a couple of things before I read the next book. Like, part of me wants to isolate the audio. So, sorry, I'm yawning again. Like, part of me wants to isolate the audio so that then I can put all the audio into its own video, but without the music in the background. Because obviously, if I do what I did to the Travelling Cat Chronicles to Alice in Wonderland right now, there is going to be a lot of the same songs, because I only have a short playlist of songs that I play while I do these reading streams. I don't really use the lo-fi girl stuff anymore, because I actually found I had a little bit of an issue with playing the lo-fi girl. Like when I would check my when I would check like my video afterwards to see, you know how you can kind of see like stats and just the amount of copyright stuff, not claim, well, not like copyright strikes, but copyright claims on the music while I would listen to Lo-Fi Girl was kind of insane, and so I switched to this. Also, hello Hugs, I hope work is going well, and hello Pluvium. If you are sleeping is permitted. That is literally the point of this stream. Go back to sleep. Don't worry, all you missed was 2 very confusing and nonsensical chapters of Alice in Wonderland. Oh, and also me kind of going off on a tangent, but that's just par for the course for these streams, so. But I hope you're all doing well, hope you're all having a good night, evening, day, whatever time it is. Is my music just... No, there we go. Yeah, I was talking about earlier, I'm not quite sure what to read next. Because I found out that some people are actually listening to like one of my reading things for school. That like that book is actually like their study book for class. And so I kind of want to read more books that people can use for as free Audible. Alright, you don't need to pay for some boring 70-year-old man to read you the book. You know what? Have a cat read it to you. Isn't that better? I'm talking about a contrarianism. How dare you? Back to sleep. I love the isolated idea. Yeah, I'll need to figure out how to do it. I know it's possible because like I hear people talk about it all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I worked out how to make it so it doesn't even play on the VODs of Twitch. I'm like, how the hell are you doing that? Like they're listening to it on stream, but then it's not in the. How does that even work? I don't know. So I figure it's possible, but I'll need to do some research probably to figure out how. But I will. For now, I won't worry about it while I'm reading Alice in Wonderland because this is this book is nonsense. I feel like I'm having a fever dream. Maybe that's the intention, but good grief. But when I read the next book, although actually talking about books that I read back when I was in school kind of made me realize that I really want to buy some of the books that I used to read. Like I used to have like a few shelves full of books, but when I stopped reading when I was like 16, I ended up giving away a lot of them to charity shops, and so I don't really have that many books left. I thought I had more, but when I went to go look at my dad's at New Year's, I literally grabbed all the ones I had, and that was not many. It was like 5 books. I want to get Northern Lights and that entire Golden Compass series. I want to get Mortal Engines. I want to get... It's not for reading on stream, and I never owned it myself. I actually borrowed it. My best friend in secondary school was actually an avid reader, like even more than me. But she is the one who lent me The Knife of Never Letting Go, and that series. Oh, there's also another one. There was one I read in school. It was one of those post-apocalyptic ones. I don't remember what. I remember like the plot line. I might have to do some googling later to see if I can hunt down the book. But I really liked it, and I think it was meant to have a sequel, and I never ended up reading it because I just read what was in the library. Sorry, Learning Resource Center. It's dumb names. I'm back to sleep now, so before I think to stream, thank you for coming, Bobbies. I hope your sleep is good. Sorry for the interruption. As in, like, for making you wake up to be contrary. I guess that's not really my thing to apologize for, but I will anyway. Either way, been an hour. Time. It was also time for me to lay down and pretend to sleep for the next 4 hours until I can actually sleep, and another 2 hours after that. So, I will be streaming again on Sunday. We're playing Muse Dash because I just want to play something familiar that I'm used to, that I know how to stream and play and do stuff at the same time. Next week, I think I'm gonna return to streaming on Wednesdays. I'm gonna reincorporate Wednesday into the schedule because I think I can handle it. I think I'm prepared to add another day to my schedule, because it feels weird, you know, streaming on Monday and Sunday, but then literally just having like the week empty. That's weird. I know it's like Thursday, Friday right now, but reading stream doesn't count. It does count, but it doesn't count. So yeah, I think Wednesday streams will make a comeback. I'll have to work out what I want to do, whether I want to do like art or something. The problem with art that I have right now is that I'm working on commissions and I don't think I can stream one of them, and that's the one that I'm working on and is taking the longest because it's quite a big project. I think in future I need to ask people, like, is it okay if I stream this? So I can actually know if I can stream certain commission works. Although I do get very self-conscious streaming commissions, because my art has to go through quite a few phases of sketch before it's okay, before it's tolerable, before I can bear to look at it. Anyway, oh god, I put my book on top of the wire of the mouse. I will actually head off now. So, see you guys on Sunday for Muse Dash. Next week, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should paint more miniatures or if I should do something different on next Monday. Like, I have some fabric and some patterns. I kind of want to start like sewing something, but I don't know. Thank you, Oni, for coming. I see my timing just really doesn't work for some things. Welcome home, Hugs. So yeah, I don't know if I want to paint more of the minis or if I want to do something else. Has perfect timing. Arrives exactly when they mean to. Yeah, but I was literally like starting to like plan on ending stream and now you're home. It was terrible timing. But yeah, I'll see. Minis. What sounds more fun? Maybe the fabric stuff. I haven't, because I did mini painting last week and that was fun, that was great. But fabric stuff. Oh, that's quite messy. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll do sewing stuff. So I don't have a printer because it's 2023 and I'm not insane. So I found this online pattern for a plushie, and I emailed it to my mom at work. I was like, Mom, while you're at work, could you print off these patterns for me? And she was like, yeah. By the way, I've printed off one at A4 and one at A3, which is giant. my mother has given me the power to make a giant plushie, but I don't really have enough fabric for it. But so I will only be using the small one. But I haven't made anything with sewing since I was in school, so I'm kind of excited. I bought like a thing of like random scrap fabric from the haberdashery that's in my city that I love and adore. And so it was really good. She is. I'm very appreciative of her. It was Mother's Day recently, and I always worry that I'm not very good at showing like how much I appreciate all the stuff she does for me, but Ella's so cute. But yeah, no, she's cool. I appreciate the fact that she's so supportive of my streaming stuff and always comes to stream when she can and like hangs out. And you know, also the important stuff, like she literally lets me live in this house because it's her house. Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if I still lived with my dad, I would not be able to stream. My dad is... I get along with him now that I don't live with him. Living with him was a nightmare. He was the lightest sleeper, and so no matter how quietly I talked, even if I like was using the keyboard too loudly, like he'd like bang on the wall and be like, "Be quiet," and I'd be there like, pain. So the reason I'm able to be here and be a streamer is actually because of Mum. And a lot of other things. And I appreciate her. Even if she comes and shows me TikToks and makes me lose the game and stuff like that. Big ups to Puri Mum. I actually, I want to help her out with something, but, makes you start manually breathing? Nah, my mum doesn't do that. My mum can't, no one can make me do that. I'm immune to the things that are like, you are manually breathing, you're manually, breathing, blinking, your lips are dry, you're conscious of your tongue inside your mouth. You know, all those things. I'm immune to them. Huh? Numbers! Greetings! Submarine Cat Raid. How did Iron Lung go? That's what you were playing, right? You switched to Iron Lung. Hello Numbers. It was hell? Oh. Oh, I see. Was it fun hell? Or like, just hell? But hello Numbers, hello Otter, hello Evil Bird. Good evening, or good night, I guess. Piloting a sub is not a job for a cat. That's true. Cats do not belong at the bottom of the ocean. No cat belongs at the bottom of the ocean. None of them. They belong on land. That's maybe in the sky. Maybe some cats. Not me personally, but some cats. Also, hello Ryan. Greetings. Hello everyone. I should introduce myself, right? Hi. Hi, my name is Purity Valentine. I am a cozy cat, question mark. I normally stream on Twitch, to be honest with you, but I stream on YouTube, when I can. What day is it? It's Thursday night. Friday morning. But it was my internet was... Yeah, I saw... Well, not that I was lurking or anything before my stream, because who would... No, I don't do that. But, yeah, I saw you switch to Iron Lung. But I do hope that it was at least okay. Even if it was a bit boring. Is it still, like, being worked on? Is it one of the games that are, like... It's like early access, or is that it? Is that the whole game? when I saw you playing it, I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. I was like, okay, there's numbers. Okay, cool. Love coordinates. Definitely know how those work. Small indie game, short like night. Oh, okay, I see. But yeah, thank you for the raid. Thank you. Well, redirect. Sorry, this is YouTube. And YouTube terminology. I'm definitely very used to being here, and I know how everything works here. But yeah, I do reading streams every Thursday night, Friday morning. I have already finished. I've finished reading for the night, so we just read a couple chapters of Alice in Wonderland. This is the part of the stream where I go on tangents and I talk about things that whatever enters my mind until I'm done. Look, the ocean is cool and scary. I can make any like a game seem easy to game. I will get this. Yeah. The salute's being sorted out. Yeah, I didn't see it. My brain isn't poisoned the same way as other people. It's being looked at. It's being sorted. It's being fixed. Your mind has been crossed. Listen, my mind is it's full of cat things, but only like specific cat things. But yeah, ocean is cool and scary, and that's why Subnautica exists. Although I don't really find that scary. Wait, numbers, if you're still here, is... So does that game, does Iron Lung have jump scares in or not? Because I saw someone mention that it had jump scares, and that's like my number one, like absolutely no, I hate this. If then it sort of has jump scares, but not really. Jump scares has got two little surprise. Surprise moment. Sound-based ones. Oh god, I'm really bad actually with that kind of thing though. So, fun Twitch fact. I have a redeem on Twitch where people can throw things at me, and I actually jump when people throw things at me because it makes like a little like sound when it hits me. It makes me jump every time. I'm literally the definition of a scaredy cat. Like actually. Cat things as it should, yes. Although I'm not like Numbers. Numbers is a completely normal cat. I am a cat ? Or alternatively you can go cat? Cat? Just in a really questioning tone of voice. That's been done. Like, do they throw a zucchini? No, that's not the cat thought. That's the cat thought when there's a zucchini is that a snake? But I'm a ? So I go, is that a snake? I love snakes. But then it's not a snake. It's a vegetable. That's way worse. Oh god, I hate vegetables. Exactly. Yeah, it's me. Cat ? Cat? Maybe? Maybe a cat. Not a cat. I actually just look like a cat. It's actually established. I'm not a cat. I just look like one. I'm a fake cat. Don't be fooled by the very cute fluffy ears. Fake. Well, actually, no, they're technically real. Dog. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if I've been a dog this entire time? Too bad zucchinis are kind of delicious. There are only two vegetables that I will eat, and that is carrots, because raw. They gotta be raw carrots. Cooked carrots are disgusting. And then the savior, my true love, and that is the potato. Love potatoes. Is that a vegetable? That's a root. It's like a root vegetable. I love potatoes. Boil them, roast them, mash them, put them in make them as fries, make them crisps. Love chips. Love potatoes. 10 out of 10 every time. We predict this creature to be a cat with a 100% margin. Real. Yeah. I mean, you can't be that. How did I know it was carrots and potatoes? Because I have very basic tastes. Stick them in a stew. I actually don't like stew. But trust me, that particular scene does resonate with me. But yeah. Fun purity facts is that I hate most food. I'm a very fussy cat. You know that if you ever owned a cat, you've probably been aware of the type of cat that basically does not eat anything that you get it, and you end up normally having to buy like the really expensive stuff just to like find something they'll eat. Because cats are smug little bastards like that. Every time a viewer is cringe, Purity hates a new food. Oh god, there's not gonna take that many more people being cringe before I don't like any food anymore. They're gonna have to, I don't know, just teleport food into my stomach. It's dangerous. But yeah. Yeah, carrots and potatoes are the only vegetables I like, and then the only fruit I like. Singular. One fruit. Green apples. In fact, the more sour the apple, the better. I used to eat cooking apples. If you ever like tried to like green apples are pretty sour. Like a Granny Smith is like relatively sour, but like cooking apples, which are especially like for you to cook, obviously like taste a lot stronger because they are designed to be cooked, which loses some of the flavour. But if you just eat a cooking apple raw, oh my god. I mean, it feels like it's burning your tongue a little bit, but so fucking good. Calorie pills and vitamins. I actually wish, I know this is feels like a dumb thing, but I do actually wish that I could just kind of subsist off like calorie pills and vitamins. I'm not built for eating. I don't really enjoy eating. Have you tried sauerkraut? I have not. I don't really know what it is, to be honest. I've heard of it, but it doesn't sound like something I would like. Which I know sounds dumb. Hold on, I'm gonna Google it. What is... How do you spell... sauerkraut... Oh, there we go. Finely cut raw cabbage! No. No, hate cabbage. No. What if pickles but cabbage? Yeah, no, I'm good. No, thank you. Raw cabbage. It's fermented. Raw fermented cabbage. Oh god, I had no idea it was just fermented oh, come on, that's not food. Come on. You can't just eat that on its own. You can't, like, you couldn't just get it's like a topping at best, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it. It's spicy and tart from the vinegar. Can I be real? I would rather just drink the vinegar. And I say that as someone whose stomach doesn't really like them having acid. I would rather just drink vinegar. Not that I've ever done that, obviously. Don't, and if you're new here and anyone who's been here longer tells you that I have in fact drank vinegar, they are definitely lying to you. Something parents would use to punish children by exactly right. That's what it looks like. Like get a spoonful of the sauerkraut for your sins. Made a casserole. I drink balsamic. I'm a fan of malt vinegar. Malt vinegar is my specifically. I think the brand is Samson's. Tasty vinegar. I blame my godfather. My godfather. I used to get the hiccups a lot when I was a kid. And my godfather was like, oh, well, to get rid of hiccups, you just, like, drink a spoonful of vinegar. And I was like, alright, bet. That was the beginning of the end for me. That was when I discovered that I am not shocked by the taste of vinegar, and I rather like vinegar. It's been a danger to me ever since. Another good sandwich ingredient is olive sal. That's just like olives, right? I can't even stand the smell of olives. Ugh. No, can't do it. My mum likes olives. And I just look at them from across the room and I'm like, no. No, 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 no. No, I don't want that. No, thank you. Please keep that away from me. Chopped olives with some of the seasoning. Yeah. Yeah, food isn't... I'm not good with food. I'm British. Ha! But actually, like, real. Like, actually real. I do not handle complex flavors well. Like, I always had this thing growing up where my food could not touch, like, on my plate. Like, you know, you would have like mashed potato and like sausage and like, I don't know, like other things on a plate. They could not touch. No, nope. And I would always like watch my parents, like, oh, you know, they'd get a fork, and on Sunday dinners, like, they get a bit of a meat and some of the Yorkshire pudding and some of the potato and some of the vegetable and then they'd just eat the entire bite of all those different ingredients. I remember I tried that once, and the only result was that I couldn't taste any of it. Like, all of it lost its taste. It's like, what is the appeal of this? Now none of it tastes good. It tasted fine individually, but you put them all together, it's just nothing. British has some interest. Yeah, it sure does. Like, make a sandwich if you want it all at once. Yeah, that's my other thing. I don't really... Whenever I have sandwiches, like, I eat everything separately. Like, so I don't like butter, so I always ask them to not put butter on my sandwiches. And like, if I got like a bacon roll, so I would have like the roll and the bacon, but what I'd do is I'd open up the roll, the bread, eat the bacon, and then eat the bread, like, all separately. I don't like... They don't mix well. None of them mix well, because then you don't taste any of it, and you don't enjoy it. Anyway, I might just be autistic, but it's fine. Food difficult. Would love to one day just take a pill and that be all of my daily nutrients. That would be wonderful, thank you. It's a charm point. If you ever think to yourself, I have a really bad diet, I really don't eat well, you will feel better by coming and talking about food with me. Because if you think you're bad with food, I'm worse. Guaranteed. I do wish I liked more food though. It is something that bugs me. Like, so it was Mother's Day in the UK a couple weeks ago, and my mum took her mum to a restaurant but it was a French restaurant. And there are certain restaurants, French restaurants, Italian restaurants, Thai food, that I basically don't like anything on the menu. Like, absolutely none of it. And it's kind of a nightmare, because it's always very embarrassing. What do you want to eat, Purity? And I'm like, you got toast? do you have toast? Or just like a side of potato, please? And they look at me like, are you insane? This is like a fancy restaurant and you're asking for toast? Pain. And so my mum was like, oh, I would have invited you to come with, you know, me and my mum to for Mother's Day. And I'm like, honestly, it's fine. it's fine. Toast slaps though, they should just make better. I think everywhere should serve toast. Toast makes you feel better. Bread and potatoes, you can't go wrong with bread and potatoes. I genuinely, I don't think you can go that wrong. See, some places have some really fancy toast. That's true. I don't really like super fancy toast. I just want toast. Hey, some toast is hooked up, I guess. Well, I have a little bit of butter on toast, just for like moisture. Because dry toast is a little bit. It just dries out your mouth a little bit too much. But like, I know that some people like drown their toast in butter. I just have like enough toast that. Enough butter that's just like melted in to the top. Like you can't see any of the butter. Like there's no like yellow butter still on top. It's just toast. Hydrated toast. It kind of makes me wonder what would happen if you put water on toast. But for the sake of everyone's sanity, I think I will probably avoid doing that. Or if I do it, I probably won't tell anyone. Because people will literally be like, did you seriously just put water as your spread on toast? And I'm going to be forced to tell them the truth. Because I can't lie about stuff like that. I'm just going to be like, yes. Yes, I used water as my spread on toast. I'm sorry. I haven't done it. You can't puree ... me. You can't puree ... me. I haven't done it. Yet. And if I do it, I'm not going to mention anything. So don't ask. Because I can't lie about these things. Water on toast is something that prisoners in Siberia would eat. Isn't it more ice on toast if it's up in Siberia? It can't be that bad. It would have to be like at least room temperature water though. Like if you got cold water, then that would cool the toast down and then that just makes the toast unpleasant. How else will I know if I should water my toast? If you like butter, you should probably just keep putting butter on your toast. Not water. Finally came at the beginning of the story. No. No. But hello, Para. You put the ice on the toast, it melts into it like butter. Basically a scuffed canandle? Canodle? Nodal? What is this? Boiled dumplings. Oh. Oh, I've never heard of these before. They kind of look tasty though. I was starting to type, sorry, you have to keep holding up that book while we chat, and I realize. I mean, it's fine. I'm sitting down, right? So it's a huge book. Like, hold on, let me pull. Oh wait, hold on. No, it's you didn't see anything. It's a big book, so I'm just resting it on my lap. I think I attached it in the wrong place, so it's fine. Might be good for you now I think about it. Yeah, I kind of want to try this now. If I ever go to Central European or Eastern European countries, I will try it, because it's definitely another thing here. But it can't be that bad, surely. Can't be any worse than American bread. I don't know what Americans do to their bread, but it does not taste good. Good exercise? Yeah. It's weightlifting. Giant bug. It's really easy to make. We have it for New Year's in my Oh really? I wonder if I could make it then. It's been a while since I've done a cooking stream. American bread is good. Have you ever had bread from literally anywhere else? Like literally any other country on the planet? Spoiler alert, we put lots of sugar in. Yeah, way too much sugar. I like things sweet. I like things sweet, but good grief, no. No. Yeah, try bread literally anywhere else in the world first before you claim American bread is good. Okay, so some of the ingredients on this list don't look good. I don't like onions. But I guess if I made it myself, then it would be fine, because I could just avoid the things that I don't like. What is speck? What is speck? I don't know what that is. Oh, it's ham. Okay. I've literally never heard of that before. Apparently it's... I don't know, it's something fancy. Alright? Just roll some bread into tight bowls and boil them with stuff you like in them. That sounds simple enough. Yeah. I might look into that. Although, what would I put into it? What do I like? Maybe... If speck is a kind of meat and they put... maybe... like turkey or something? I don't know. Or cheese. It could be like a boiled cheese on toast. Actually, saying that out loud, I don't know how I feel about that anymore, actually. Suddenly that doesn't sound as good. I will think about this, and I will look more into these canodles. Because my curiosity is piqued. And if we can add another food onto the list of things I like, that's always a plus. Because there's not much food on that list. Like, really, really not much food on that list at all. The struggle is real every day. The true test for your strength is, are you capable? If I manifested in your house, would you be able to feed me, yes or no? Because for most people, the answer is no. Craft slice, Wonder Bread, water bath. Why Wonder Bread? And why plastic cheese? No, that sounds terrible. It's a bad combo. Ah yes, I love the taste of sugar and plastic. My favourite. Americans scare me. If you're American, you're on another. You're on another level. I'm frightened. I'm scared. I'm a cat from the land of Britain. I do not understand your ways. Okay. Anyway, I went on one hell of a tangent, but I also wanted to say hi, because Obviously numbers brought their people here. So thank you for coming. But it is now nearly 4 AM, so I think it is high time I actually got some sleep. Or tried to. There's actually no guarantee for me that I'll actually be able to sleep, because I am an insomniac, but better to try. Thank you numbers for the plus extra period time. Yeah. And thank you numbers for the redirect. I do hope your internet recovers and that one day you can beat the crap out of them, and that another company is introduced to your area, so your current ISP no longer has a monopoly on the area, and so they're forced to be more competitive so they don't lose customers to the other company. Yeah. I actually feel so bad for Americans. I've had some ISP issues. I've had some really severe ISP issues in the past. But none of them ever compare to what I hear Americans having to deal with. It genuinely seems like a nightmare, the whole ISP situation over there. For me, there's like at least 6 different providers that serve my area, and I will go through them all if they don't treat me right. But my current provider does, so I haven't had touch wood. Haven't had any problems with them so far with the internet. Had some problems with the TV, but we literally have an engineer coming on Monday. Next Monday to come and sort that. So a big problem sleeping too. Yeah, sleeping problem club. Yeah, I'm terrible at sleep. I would get an F in sleep. I'm terrible at it. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna leave it for today. Thank you very much for coming. I do appreciate it. Whether you were here for the reading or here just to chat afterwards. I will say, if you want to catch more of my stuff, I am more active on Twitch. I currently stream 2 or 3 times a week on Twitch. I'm going back up to 3 times a week on Twitch next week. So do check me out there. It's probably the optimal thing, but I will also be here on Thursdays. So yeah. Anything else? Anything else I need to say? Nah. I think that's everything. So if you don't worry, America's about to make the internet. Oh, I heard about that. Good luck, Americans. Good luck. Please fight it, because the problem is, okay, I know I said on good night, but one more thing. If you guys don't fight that, if you guys don't fight against that bill that is coming for your privacy, internet privacy, and if you guys don't fight that, other countries will realize that they can get away with the same, that they can do the same thing. If it happens in America, it's gonna happen here. So please, fight it. For the sake of yourselves, and the sake of everyone else. Please. Even if you hate TikTok, it's not about TikTok. It's about the internet. Yeah, American will... I don't know what the CWAME word is. I don't know what that's saying. But yeah, okay, actual. If you are going to be getting some rest, some sleep, please do sleep well. Have a good night. If you still got work to do, if you're busy working, studying, I do hope the rest of that goes well and without any stress or hassle. And if you're just chilling, enjoy the rest of your night. What do you think? I literally wasn't sure. I literally wasn't sure. I had no idea. That's why I asked. A lot of the time I can interpret misspelt words, but not that time. But yeah, whether you're staying awake, getting some sleep, anything like that, please do have a good night, and I will hopefully see you guys soon. And thank you very much. I can't redirect because I'm just a tiny YouTube streamer, and they haven't given me that ability yet. So yeah, enjoy your night, Onyasumi. Good night. Bye 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 bye. Thank you numbers. Thank you again for the redirect. I do appreciate it. Good night. Bye 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 bye.